Hey, hello everyone, and welcome to the Hardcore Metal Detecting Radio Show. I'm Derek Asklar, and Mr. Craig Talley's on the line. We'll be hosting this show tonight. And it's going to have kind of open lines tonight on the 31st here. Our call-in number is 352-504-4170. If you'd like to call in and start up a topic you want to talk about, or information, questions, doesn't really matter. Or you can get on chat right here. We already got, Firefighter and Jason Julin on chat already, and I'm sure that Bill Marsh and the rest of them be chasing us across over here pretty soon. But you can do that by just getting on to Spreaker.com and clicking on Hardcore Metal Detecting, and you can go to the comment section and just click on comment, and it'll get you signed in for it, and you can talk with these guys on chat. A lot of information on there. These guys, they all know their stuff pretty well, or they're just getting started. There's a whole variety of people on chat, so we'll kind of go with the flow. But Craig, I figure we just do open lines tonight. I got some information and stuff not information. I got a new site to hunt. I was just telling Craig about it just before we started. There's a property behind me. I've talked about it on the show a couple times. It's a stagecoach route that went right up my property line, but it got across this big field and then on around and across the Withlacoochee River into Instachata, Florida. But the bridge is no longer there. It's just steel pilings, probably about 2 or 3 foot above the water along the edge right there. That's all that's left of it. But back in the 1800s, I think it was in mid-1800s, they put the bridge in, Craig. And there was a news reporter, 10 years ago or something, that did a report on that and said, they tore it down sometime before 1900, and nobody knows who built it or where the money came from to build it or anything. There's a whole sordid story about that bridge. I mean, you can imagine back in mid 1800s, it was a main way to get across the river. There wasn't very many ways across it, bridge wise. So God only knows what happened. Craziness going on and stuff like that every once in a while, and really that's not that far past the Second Seminole Indian War, and I think it's right in the middle of the third. There was a short time, I think it was the third skirmishes or whatever after that. But the property I'm talking about is right behind me, and I've been trying to get permission to hunt it because of the stagecoach route and stuff. And I ended up talking to the owner today, and he told me I'd go ahead out there and go ahead and hunt. And before you get those property owners, Craig, that they're just real skittish. They don't want anybody on their property, or I don't know. It's a million different reasons why somebody wouldn't want you out there. But he finally just said, go ahead out there and hunt. And if anybody says anything, just tell him I said it was okay. And we got to talking a little bit more, and he actually owns the property out there by the river, just a little bit north of me, probably maybe, quarter mile or something like that. And he told me, we're redoing the cabin right there that was there. It's been there for a long time. I don't think it's the original building, but I think there was some kind of a building there. I'm showing it on survey maps and topo maps and stuff like that. There's a dot right there, like there was a building there. And I don't know, maybe it could have been a store, could have been anything really. But the bridge went across right there. So I'm hoping to get over there, hopefully not this weekend, but sometime next week, and maybe into the following weekend, maybe just to check it out, and maybe get to swing the coil around a little bit, see what we can find. I just told him, I said, there's no telling what I'd find. I said, it's probably going to be bullets and shotgun shells and that kind of thing, but, there's always a chance for some coins and stuff, and that's the way I usually hit it. When I talk to people, you don't want to embellish, or like, there could be coins and gold and silver, and you get their minds turning too much. I mean, most of the time, we're digging, a lot of trash rather than treasure. So, I try to tone it down a little bit, buttons, bullets, that kind of thing, because we're going to find those anyways. And then if we find some good stuff, well, that's just icing on the cake. So, that's kind of neat, though. I can walk, pretty much climb over the fence here in my backyard and go out hunting. And there's a pond down there about 200 or 300 yards from the property line, and I could see pilings in there, because I've never actually been on the property, never had permission to even walk it. But there's little pilings, like they had a dock out there many years ago. I mean, that's all that's left is you can barely see them sticking above the water. So, it could have been a swimming hole and stuff. I think there was shoot, he did some excavating along the back side of that pond, because I think he had originally wanted to put a housing addition in there or something along those lines, and he wanted to make the pond bigger, or whatever, small pond, and Swift Mud shut him down. He said, you can't do that. And that was back in the 70s. So he never really let anybody on there at all since. I can't really blame him, because it was a bunch of hoopla about that back in the day, as far as the way the water runs off and stuff. And all he was trying to do is clean it up. But I'm hoping to get in there. And I found a standing or walking Liberty quarter, a V nickel, and stuff along the property line here on my side. So, it's not. I think it was a 1901 V nickel, Craig, and so it's not really, it's not in the era really, but if I'm finding that, maybe into that field where because you can't even see where the Stagecoach Road was anymore. I just see it on the map. They have it kind of drawn in there where the road was. So it goes up on top of the hill and then cuts across one of the main roads up into this area, and then it goes down and across the river and stuff. So, or used to go across the river. So I got some adventure ahead of me a little bit anyway. So I'm kind of looking forward to, because for 4 or 5 years I've wanted to hunt that property, and it's a lot of the information I found was in private. I guess you could call it memoirs or something like that. Not a diary, but there was a lady in Instachata that wrote like a book. Pretty much typed it out, and I got my hands on it over here at the library, and I couldn't take it out. They wouldn't let me take it out, but they let me Xerox copy a lot of it. So I actually have photos of the old riverboat. They have actually 2 photos of an old riverboat, barge, or whatever you want to call it, on the Withlacoochee River, which everybody said they were here, but nobody that I know of really had a lot of photos of the one that went down through here. So I have some information, historical research information or whatever, that I found out about this property. But man, no telling what I'll find out here. I'll actually, if I start finding stuff, I'm gonna have to call up Mark and Mike and all the guys that live down here, at least in Florida, and get them. See if we can get together and do a hunt over there. It'd be nice. This guy seems pretty receptive to that. He just didn't want his property tore up or nothing like that. And once he was over that part of it, just pretty much telling me we just dig, plugs and we fill them back in. If it's ever anything big, we'll call you out here. Let you check it out and see if you want it dug up. Because one thing I've learned about Florida, you never know what you're going to dig up. You might dig up a whole tractor out there. They get to junking stuff up, But yeah, that's what I'm up to, Craig. I don't know if you got out yesterday, right?
Yeah, I got out. We've been having so much rain. We got rain today, but yesterday was pretty nice, except it was pretty humid.
Yeah.
But I got the 15-inch coil on the blitz tool, and I was hunting the front yard. And got a signal, and right by the fence where I've been. Probably 50 times.
Yeah, it's been a lot.
Maybe more than that. I dug, probably most of the coins right along that area is probably most of the best coins I dug.
Mm-hmm.
Except for the really old ones in the backyard. But anyway, I got a wee penny down about 10 inches deep, and when I was pinpointing it, I had a hard time, because it was like a longer signal, but I could tell there was something else in the hole. And so when I got the wheat penny out, I could hear something, and so I got a hit, and I saw this big rock, and I pulled it out, and it was actually a brick, and it was like a really old one. It was probably down about 12 inches, and then underneath that was one of these hooks that had broken. It's like those things they got like these chains with these hooks that go on these flatbed trucks or whatever.
Oh, like an old step-side Ford or something like that. It has a little hook you slide to hold the tailgate up.
I got 2 of them that I found right in the corner of the front yard when I first, was when we were cutting the bushes and stuff when we first got here. And I found 2 complete ones, the really big ones. and I got them in the backyard, but they're massive, And I thought I bet that's that hook piece, and it broke off.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. But man, that thing was down probably 15 inches deep. So I'm sitting there going, man, there's no telling what's down below what the detectors can hear.
Yeah, if you're getting bricks at, foot down anyways, that's a pretty good sign that you're going to get some really deep stuff.
I was, I'm kind of right near the sidewalk, and I was thinking, part of the yard's below the sidewalk, and I was thinking, man, maybe I could do a tunnel under the sidewalk.
There you go. And your city ordinance people will come and arrest you. No, I'm joking. They might. I don't know. You're excavating. You're an archaeological dig. Sidewalks are awesome. I've hunted along old sidewalks that are covered up, like they're not using them anymore. It's grass has grown over them and stuff. Man, you find some cool stuff around those. That's where I found that drill sergeant's whistle and, silver coins and everything else down through there, and wood burning stove parts, all kinds of strange stuff along old sidewalk, that go lead into nowhere pretty much. Yours has been established for a long time, but still, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, there's also like a bank that goes on the other side of the sidewalk up to the street, and it's fairly wide. It's probably, 12 feet, at least 12, 15 feet wide, and and then it levels out right at the street, so you can see where all the stuff's eroded over the years, and I found a number of wheat pennies and modern coins and an iPod up there, right on the sidewalk. But I think it kind of slants all the way down and through my front yard, and then all the way down to the alley behind me, and even further on down. There was a stream there, and then you can see where the stream went on down. There's a part where it levels out after that, but probably all that over the years, all that stuff was eroding down that hill. So
yeah, I guess for maybe the newer people into metal detecting, man, you just never know where you're going to find stuff. Don't bypass high traffic areas. I mean, Tommy Decker up in here in Chicago, he has a Facebook page called Detecting Chicago and Beyond. He does a lot of sidewalk, between the sidewalk and the road, they have that grass patch. He'll do those, and he finds all kinds of coins and stuff. I mean, we've had him on the show before, and those are not bad. If you can get in there to hunt them, obviously you got to be careful because they're
Yeah, when I first started hunting, I was doing this 11-acre World War II housing project that was going to be torn down, and they were putting $1 million homes in it. And this is back in the 80s, and I was walking along, right along the curbs, just, it was amazing how many silver coins and wheat pennies you'd find, all, some of them, if they hadn't nobody been through, you were just pulling coin after coin every 2 or 3 inches.
Yeah. Even at Fort DeSoto Park, I do that. They have those large sidewalk beds for the military. And they couldn't walk on the grass a lot. The Army guys couldn't. The contractors could, and that's one of the things the ranger was telling us. They weren't allowed to walk across the grass and stuff. They had to stay on the sidewalk. So we find buttons and we don't find many coins anymore because we've hunted it like about 10 times already. But I find little bullet casings and just all kinds of weird little sights for rifles, just everything right along that sidewalk bed. Sidewalks are awesome. I love them around either side of them. So go ahead, Craig. Sorry.
Yeah, there was another place that was probably one of the most concentrated areas of coins I ever was in. It was in that kind of in the same area, but it was like a cut through between two houses, and there was a little tiny sloping area where you could like sit, and there was basketball courts there, and you could just imagine everybody be kind of hanging out on this little hill, waiting to play or watching, and stuff like that. And there was a flat area right behind it, and then it continued on through between the houses to the street,
Mm-hmm.
And then it went on to the other side, and it did the same thing on the other side. But yeah, I must have found 600 coins in an area the size of my living room.
Oh yeah,
And I mean, it was just
crazy.
it took me a week to pull all the. There was a lot of trash too, but it was funny once I got. I found more nickels in that area than I was just digging every signal,
Mm-hmm.
and until I cleaned the place out. Didn't get a whole lot of silver, maybe eight silver coins out of 600,
Right.
But I got a lot of buffalo nickels. I must have gotten, I don't know, 15 buffalo nickels.
Ain't bad.
But
I don't dig those very much down here. Get one once in a while.
Yeah. I dug 2 in the yard. I think one of them had a date on it.
That's pretty good.
No, I think I got 3 in the yard.
Mm-hmm.
I got 2 or 3 war nickels in the yard. One of them was in mint condition. I thought it was some kind of foreign silver coin that, when I saw it, when dirt on it, I saw the edge.
Yeah.
It's not readed on a nickel. And I was like, oh my God, what is this?
Mm-hmm. Fooled you.
Silver nickel, but, it was just some nickels, they're silver, but they'll have tarnish on them.
Right.
They're black. This thing had nothing. I mean, it was just perfect. And I think I dug three silver nickels in the yard.
Yeah, I get coins down here that, like when I dig the silver out, you can tell it has a patina on it. It's got that it's not shiny. In other words, it's there. You can tell they've been in the ground for a while, but it almost bakes them down here. This ground gets so doggone hot. Like my driveway, we have a dirt driveway, and I mean, every once in a while I run out there. If somebody comes over, I run out there without my shoes on. You just run out there and grab the gate and get the gate open. And man, I tell you what, that sun just in the afternoon sun it's like a beach. It burned the heck out of your feet. I'm like, man, anything in the ground's getting cooked down here, and I think that's why it comes out. It's not really a lot of corrosion on it, or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't look. The coins don't look like they do up north. I mean, obviously, you guys got clay loam soil and everything else going on, and a lot of times I'll pull out like V nickels. I've only ever had, I think, 2 that were toasted. Pretty bad. V nickels are really notorious for that up north. Like most of the V nickels I get, you can definitely make out.
I got a 1911 out of the yard, and it was in pretty good shape. It actually has pretty good detail in it, and the date is real bold on it, but it does have some tarnish. And I used CLR, and I just wiped it real quick.
Yeah.
And then rubbed it off with a paper towel, and I mean, I was thinking maybe I could do it again, but
don't. Yeah, don't do it. CLR is pretty harsh stuff. You don't want to put too much of that on, or it might just turn it nasty, and you wouldn't be able to read it as well. I don't know. I mean, you're pretty good with that stuff. Stuff scares me. I always think I'm gonna, like really mess up the coin to the point where you can't read it. Take the detail out of it. But that coin you got there sounded like it'd be all right, but. I just stay away from it. I used to use, somebody had told me, you hear all these little stories or whatever. You could put the Taco Bell hot sauce. Have you ever heard that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, you take penny and put it inside that inside a little packet of hot sauce and just leave it in there for a couple days. Oh yeah, you can get some detail off of it, but it pretty well screws up the coin. There's certain things you got to be careful of. Anything corrosive at all, like vinegar and we hear all kinds of stories of how to clean a coin. Less is more. I mean, if you can get away with not even using this stuff, it's probably better. But if you're just trying to get a date, I mean, obviously these coins, if they're that bad, they're not worth a heck of a lot anyways. But to try to sell them, maybe, I don't know if some people do that, some people don't. But just being able to know what you have. I've used electrolysis and everything.
The day where a guy dug, I think it was his first real, and it was black, but it had good detail on it. You could see it, and he couldn't stand it being black. and he was talking about, doing this, putting vinegar and this and that.
Yeah.
And people were I didn't say anything, but I was like, oh no, this guy's going to regret this. And people were begging him not to do it.
Right.
And he goes, I want this silver off, and I don't care. I'm not selling this, And
Yeah.
I've heard this so many times. And a lot of times what happens when you clean that off, it dulls. It almost makes it like foggy looking.
Right.
Where it just looks like crap,
Yeah.
You're lucky enough to find one, don't mess it up.
Just take your time.
I don't know. It's a lot of times you learn the hard way, but it's kind of tough when you're doing it on a real,
Try it out on something.
That's a good dime.
Yeah, a good policy to have if you're new to this or you haven't really cleaned coins or other items. Try it on a coin that doesn't mean nothing to you. A silver coin, I don't care, whatever, a barber dime that's just toasted so bad. Try it on that first. If it toasts that up, it ain't going to matter because you can't read it anyways. You don't want to think you have something really good and try something for the first time on it because Craig and I both, I know everybody on here probably has burned up a coin or, made it unreadable or whatever using chemicals and stuff trying to get a date off of it. Most of the time, Craig, you hear Craig and I say, hey, a little toothbrush, maybe some peroxide possibly, just brush it, toothpick to get the details out and leave it at that, because you're taking away, you don't want to take away the patina. That's where, to me, that's where a lot of the, I don't know, I guess you could say character value is in it. We're not talking, you're not going to take one of these coins, not very often, I'll say that, and put it on there as a mint coin. It's just not going to happen. I mean, there's too many scratches in it and all that stuff. Coin collecting and metal detecting and collecting, I guess you could say, or whatever, the coin collecting is a totally different idea or whatever. I see. It's like us with hold coins. Where they've sewn them in, to a shirt or wore them as a necklace or whatever back in the day, so they always have a coin with them, so they can get something to eat, drink, whatever. To me, that's a lot of character. Somebody did that. I mean, obviously they did it for a reason. But if you took that and tried to sell it like a coin, to a coin collector, he's going to laugh at you. Probably. I mean, unless he's into the hobby, they're not even going to look twice at that thing. So, you're building.
It's got melt value. That's all it's got.
Yeah, that's all they pay you for too. It's like it was 10 cents.
If the coin's been hold, it's melt value. It's just they're not going to sell it probably.
No.
Maybe a real. I don't know.
I brought so much silver, over the years to pawn shops, this and that and the other thing, and that's all. Even jewelry, they don't, unless it's something exquisite, they're not going to put it. They're just going to, it's scrap value. That's all you're going to get out of it. And you get these broken rings and chains, and that are messed up, and little medallions and stuff. I mean, if they're nothing old or nothing, nothing really worth anything as far as historical value, I throw them in with my clad, or if separate, just take them over there and scrap them out if they're just beat up that bad. But other than that, I just keep everything. But you're not going to get a lot. Like a dime, you might get $1.50 out of a dime, depending on what with the silver, because there's different silver ratings. Was it 40 and 60% or something like that, Craig? You were telling me about a barber dime one time. It only had a little bit of silver in it compared to a mercury dime.
No, well, a mercury, almost all the U.S. coins have 90%. But
right.
It seems like if you put take a barber dime or a Seat of Liberty dime and run it over the meter, it's lower.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. It's the percentages in the 80s. 80% range, 86 or something like that. I can't remember. I guess it's called coin silver, but then they started making it probably when they came out with the mercury dimes, they finally went up to 90%.
Yeah.
Most other countries have 40%. Now there's half dollars after 1964. For a few years, they made 40% silver half dollars.
Oh, that must have been what I was thinking about. Yeah.
The silver nickels are, I think, 35% silver, 9% manganese, and the rest copper, I believe.
Robert Walgass had a question too, Craig, and this way maybe more for you. I've never had any luck with it, but has anybody ever used lemon juice to clean coins? I think it's too acidic. I've never.
Yeah, it's kind of acidic.
I wouldn't use.
Actually, I use lemon juice on a militia button I found. I just put up a YouTube video the other day, and I talked about how I found this one-piece convex eagle button, and it's a militia button, and the back of it had almost like 99% gold. And it was thick, and it has gilt on the back, and it had fairly good eyelets. But that button in perfect condition would be about $300 or more, probably. But anyway, I took 3 days to, like looking at it with with a loop,
right,
and then I would brush it a little bit with a soft toothbrush and look at it again. I kept doing that, and I started seeing a little bit of gold on the back, and so I thought, man, there's some gold in there. So I kept brushing, and all of a sudden I could see letters, and so it said, I noticed the first letter was G. So I got this book called Albert's Button Book that I think was written in about 1970, or maybe that was one of the reissues of the book. I can't remember, but it's got all the military buttons from like colonial to the present, and it's got a relative value. It tells the diameter of the button. A lot of times they'll have pictures of it, and so I looked in the book, and it wasn't very many one-piece buttons, and there's not many convex, and there's not many that had the gilt,
right.
So I found the one it was. It's number 66 on there, if you want to look at it. But anyway, then I knew that, that button probably at one time had just, triple gilded probably.
Right.
Just some of the buttons had so much gold, it was unbelievable. The back was just stunning. It almost blinds you. It's so bright.
Yeah.
But anyway, I started brushing the front, and I could see a little bit of gold. And then after the third day, I took a toothbrush and I stuck it in some lemon juice, and I brushed it like 3 times. And then I washed it off real quick with water, and I looked at it, and pretty much gold came out all around the talons and the kind of outlined the head of the eagle and tips of the wings and stuff. So I could probably go further with it, but I thought it looks pretty darn good right now.
Yeah.
So
I know you definitely don't want to use lemon juice on copper coins like large cents and Indian heads and stuff. I don't think you want to use any lemon juice on those. And gold is one thing, Craig. Our brass and gold, it's gold plated. That's one thing, because gold can handle it a lot of times. But I'd never do that on a silver coin.
You don't want to leave it on. You want to just do it once to try to, it just brings out the shine.
Right.
But I've been doing this for 30-some years. So
right.
I learned the hard way. When I first started, I couldn't stand it, that the buttons weren't looking good. And then I finally go, you know what? These things have been in the ground about 150 years.
Yeah, what the heck? Yeah.
It's lucky that they're even this good.
Yeah.
Sometimes, You
have to remember, too, these things are, for this guy's out here, this stuff that's been in the ground for 150, 200 years, you got to be careful with it. When you first get it out of the ground, I've seen buttons collapse like really fast, just touching them. They'll collapse.
Yeah.
Eagle buttons and stuff. You've got to be careful with them, because depending on where you're digging them at, if that's been a farm field or they use a lot of fertilizers or the ground is really mineralized, stuff is going to be almost brittle when it comes out of the ground. And I saw this firsthand several times.
It's like they have holes where it's just like rotted. The brass is just kind of rotted. But
But yeah,
it's a shame,
yeah,
because and mineralized ground really eats up buttons.
yeah.
If you're lucky, you can get one with that has a lot of gold gilding on it, and that'll kind of protect it,
Mm-hmm.
so the detail will be there. But otherwise, it's
Well, it's like
buttons that come out of bad ground or not real good.
well, see, like I dug an
Just
eagle cuff button down here at Fort DeSoto, and it was it's the same dingy, not dingy, but just patina. You can't see any of the gold on it at all, or if there is any, it's already flaked off or whatever. But then Mike Miller the same day comes up with an eagle coat button, and this thing had gold. I mean, it was like not brand new, but I mean it was nice. It had all the gold on it, front and back and everything. But we have sandy soil down here, but we do deal with salt, which surprised me. The salt, because it's right by the ocean, right by the Gulf, probably I don't know, not even 100, maybe 200 feet from the water, and you would think that it would be really ate up with like salt, eat into it and stuff, like into the copper, brass, whatever. Not the gold itself. Gold's not going to tarnish or nothing like that. But yeah, it just came out of the ground looking just so nice. And then I see the ones you did, Craig. You worked your butt off to get those things, back to, reasonable, niceness or whatever. You get all the dirt off of it. You take the time to clean it. That's not for everybody. I mean, I'd say most of the people out there are going to wash it off or wipe it off or whatever, and they're happy with that. You don't want to push it too far. If you're going to take your time with it like Craig does and really trying to get the detail out of it. Once you get the detail, leave it alone, especially stuff in the 20s. I saw one here, I think it was Jaron. He found a W.M. Rogers and Son AA silver-plated spoon stamped March 13th, 23. A lot of plating is gone through, and I'd find a lot of 1920s stuff, and you got to be extra careful. And if that spoon is bent at all, do not try to straighten it. I've seen them snap just like a twig.
Yeah, I found a baby.
Yeah,
one
baby
of those
spoon.
Rogers ones in baby spoon in the front yard, and it was bent, and I started messing with it and broke it. But and it was silver plated. Looks like it's probably closer to the turn of the century. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know how far Rogers goes back.
Rogers goes back
fairly
pretty far, but most of the time they're just silver plated. And anyways, so
yeah, this was silver plated too.
I found some cool ones over the years.
It was still pretty neat looking. I mean, it's a cool looking, more of an antique looking, design to it.
I'd say like from 1900 to probably before World War II, stuff was really. It was ornate, especially in the 20s, late teens, early 20s. I find a lot of cool stuff that has a lot of engraving, well, you know what I'm saying, the patterns on it, Craig, the details in it, just really nice. It looks like somebody took the time to do it, or whoever was making this stuff. And then you get into like more current day stuff. It's all stickers, and it's not made of the same materials, obviously, but. I found poppy pins from the VFW way back just after World War I that were made out of copper, and it was really neat. I mean, I found one of them out in the middle of a field, middle of nowhere, and definitely didn't want to clean it at all, but you could tell what it was. I think I have photos up somewhere of it, but it's not something you find every day. 20s I just always like the 20s for some reason. They just have really cool stuff. A lot of buckles and stuff from the mid early 1900s, padlocks and stuff from that era. Matter of fact, I got a padlock. It's been probably about a year or two now, but it was from, as near as I could tell, it's from the 1870s. I thought that was a small padlock, but I got that thing like 15 inches down in the ground. And it actually will open the inside, the metal part inside is rusted out, so it actually works. But or you can open and close it. You don't have a key, obviously, but padlocks too. Padlocks and trying to think. Well, of course, pocket watches, but they're usually toasted pretty bad. You find the covers of them or something like that. Every once in a while, somebody will find an intact one. I think I think George Savino found that gold pocket watch. I remember that thing. Of course, it didn't work anymore, but it was gold everywhere on it. It was like, I can't remember what era that was from. That had to have been colonial. If I remember right, it was
No, I
colonial.
don't think it was. I
It
think
wasn't?
it was. Nah, it wasn't colonial. It
What
was. I think it was like 1910 or something like
was
that.
it? Okay. I thought you said it
Yeah.
was earlier than that. Well, it just goes to show 4 years what my mind goes. But it was still a cool gold watch. I mean, I'd dig a gold watch any day of the week. So, but yeah, he got that in a park up there in Philadelphia somewhere. You just, there's certain things that were a lot of these slide buckles, the Boy Scout stuff. I can't remember when did Boy Scouts start, Craig? I know it was before just after World War One,
I
two.
think. Yeah, I think. I don't know. I keep thinking like 1914 or 1917.
Yeah,
or
something like that.
maybe.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of the
I don't
guys on
know.
here, I think it's Greg Pompano and Mark Hoover, and a lot of these guys are Michael Boyles, I think too. They hunt, these old Boy Scout camps and stuff like that. And they find the slides and the buttons and just all kinds of stuff from that era. The Boy Scout, I don't know, memorabilia, we'll say. And it's pretty cool stuff too. It's a lot of it. The early stuff is really ornate and stuff like that. It makes it kind. I think Josh Kimmel, he found a rare Statue of Liberty slide, Boy Scout slide. I don't know. There's not very many of those, I guess, but it was in really good condition. He found that up in Ohio, I believe. Yeah, so I've never really. I found some Girl Scout stuff and some Boy Scout stuff, but nothing. Not on the scale that they do. I mean, I'm not in the right spot for this. Is stuff that's dropped around the house and that kind of thing. Private properties and stuff, little house sites. But they actually have these permissions on camps and stuff like that. That's another thing too, Craig. A lot of people don't think about is that I know along some of the roads down here in Florida, they used to have old rest areas. You could pull your car off, but they've since been. They're just not there anymore. I think in Alabama they had a lot of them too, like that at one time. Those are not bad spots to metal detect if you can get in and onto that property. You're going to find a lot of junk in there, like pop tabs and pull tabs and whatever else. But there's probably going to be a lot of clad in there, or older clad, anyways. And I actually have one where they've gated it all. It's all just like farm fence now, but I know it was there about 15 years ago because it was shut down. They had a close time, but they ripped all the benches out of there and everything, just closed it up. But that doesn't mean there's not a lot of coins left in it. They didn't dig the ground out or anything like that. So, I mean, that's another spot. I need to get in there and try to hunt a little while because I know everything's going to be older than probably 19. I think it closed it up in 1989, something like that. But it'd been there forever. So, you're going to get into the 60s and 50s, anyways. I think it was built just after World War One. So, I mean, we're definitely going to get into some silver and stuff through there, I would think. Just these little spots that, if you're, well, even Craig and I mean, we look at spots and we may have driven by it 100 times, and all of a sudden, man, we notice something that's, it doesn't fit in. Maybe it's a wall, maybe it's a little monument, or the way they have certain buildings in there. You could tell it's older, and all of a sudden it becomes a hot spot. We want to get in there and hunt it because we could see it had a longer life than what we thought. It wasn't just built in the 1980s or something like that. It's built way back, and they just expanded it and redid stuff. But the ground there had never been really disturbed, other than just to tear the buildings down or whatever was there, and build new stuff. But if you can get in on some of those properties, some of them that were built early on, they didn't dig all the dirt out; they just built over top. And that's like Old Town, Craig. Where that building is, where you found those reals and stuff.
Yeah.
They didn't really dig it out at all. They just built over top of whatever was there.
Eventually, I was finding stuff that was 10, 12 feet below the street level.
Right.
And there was old bricks. There was like glazed bricks. There was like 3 or 4 different types of bricks. There was like a big, streak right through about maybe 10 feet down. It was like about a foot thick all the way across. It was just ashes, but it was just black.
Yeah, they burned down.
Looked like something burned. And I found out that there'd been I think the nuns had a building there or something that in the 1850s. There'd been right next to it had been a stables area. It was like 2 or 3 blocks from the river, and there'd been a area where they built boats pretty close by there in the 1700s. So it's just no telling. I mean, there'd been so much activity in that town over the years.
Yeah, I got one for you, Craig. This one was kind of neat too. Robert Walgass brought this up. He wanted to know how far it is from the border of Dade Battlefield from the Tractor Supply in Bushnell, and actually it is probably maybe a little over a mile, if that. And actually we have a Dade Battlefield road that's just maybe, I don't know, 1/16 of a mile past Tractor Supply that actually runs right into Dade Battlefield. But I think I know what you're getting at, that big field right there that's between the two of them. I actually have records of that dating way back, that Dewey Pond, they couldn't, Dewey was, I don't know who he was, but Dewey Pond is still there. It's got water in it, and there's a couple other ponds. I actually found part of a cannon barrel years ago. I mean, we're talking probably when I first started detecting. Found part of a cannon barrel that it's like it blew up, or I don't know. They didn't load it right. I don't know what the deal was, but I found it right by a small pond out there that's away from Dewey Pond or Dewey Lake, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that whole area right there is owned by one guy, and I've been trying to actually, he's an older gentleman, doesn't really let anybody on there, and he's been selling it bit by bit all around the outskirts where the Tractor Supply store is, Walmart, all that. He owned all that property. So yeah, it's kind of a neat area if that's what you were wanting to know. They right on the border of that, right by Dewey Pond, right along 476, is it runs between Highway 48 and Highway 476. There's a monument right there, and there was actually a detectorist that had found a general's proof. I don't know, metals and stuff. Not metals, but it identifies them as being there, right where that monument is. I'll have to get a photo of that. They make them out of brass, Craig, and they put those letters on them, and you can't really get a good photo of it sometimes because it gets, the corrosion or whatever you want to call it. Not corrosion, but you can't get a good solid photo of what it says and everything. I have to get it, but he's directly from Dade Battlefield.
Was it a badge or something?
I think it was a badge or something to identify him as a general, I guess. And I'll have to get that. I'll drive by there.
Could it have been a hat piece?
It could have been. I never got the full story on it. Obviously, they made a monument. I have to go to the Historical Society. Maybe they have some information on that. But I think I knew what he was getting at when he was asking about that, because yeah, I mean, I've been on that's been there, and I have survey maps of that from way back. And it's not from that point where that is, where that monument is. It's maybe less than a quarter mile to the battlefield itself. So the battles didn't stay in one spot. It could have spread out everywhere, because it was kind of crazy. I think there was over 200. I think it was over 200 soldiers died. There was a massacre right there. The Indians attacked them, which was because of, and it depends on what you read, but they actually attacked a village, supposedly. And, it's kind of hard. They even have stories from Dade Battlefield, the two guys who escaped it, injured, and that one of them died on the way. The other one made it 20 miles with 3 bullet wounds in him, which I find, it's kind of, he was a tough son of a gun. I think he got shot in the hip, the shoulder, and I don't know how he made it 20 miles, but he did. He made it to the next fort. And that's who told the story of what happened, because he was the only survivor of it. So this, there's a lot of, I think a year later, they went in with 2,500 troops and chased the Seminole Indians up into the Battle of Wahoo, which is right by the swamp there up 48, about, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 miles past Bushnell, or west of Bushnell. and supposedly they never lost any of their soldiers, and they killed, I don't know, it was some kind of crazy number of Indians. I don't know if I really believe that or not. Maybe they did. I don't, I don't have enough information on it. But the Seminole Indians were a rascal bunch, buddy. They knew how to hide. They knew how to get away. I just find it hard to believe that that there was no soldiers killed out of 2,500, and that they pretty much try to massacre them back or something like that. I don't know. I mean, I know there's some gun bullets flying and everything else. I actually have another permission over towards that way, where a guy found a Seminole Indian rifle. It's pretty well toasted. It's just the barrel for the most part. But, you're talking about swamps and stuff like that, trying to get through those. I don't know, Craig. It just seems like to the victor goes history type thing.
Yeah, they're telling how deep stuff will sink in a swamp.
Oh, God, yes. Yeah, and I just don't...
Especially it's something heavy.
Yeah, you see that a lot. I watch a lot of documentaries and stuff like that. Vikings and Celtic people, and even here in the U.S. the Indians and everything. It just seems like you don't get the full story sometimes. It's just like it can be embellished. It can be, and usually to the victor goes history. That's they write the history of what happened.
Exactly.
So. It's a neat area. This town is a neat area. All these little towns. There's like 20 some odd ghost towns in Florida, and that's ones they've registered. But like we have just north of Enchilada, maybe I don't know, half mile, you'll see entering Pinola city limits sign right here on right up the road from me. Well, Pinola, there's really nothing there. There's a Baptist church or a Methodist church there, or a Church of Christ or something like that. That's pretty old, but that's all it's there. There's no sign of anything being there, but they put the sign up there. We have another one called Temi. There's actually a cemetery there. That's the only thing left, but it's right along the rail line, and there's no post office, nothing like that. So you get these little random markers that a town used to be there. So they see that a lot in Florida. People think Florida's all palm trees and beaches and stuff, but you get into the interior and stuff. I mean, there's a lot of forgotten history. I'm still trying to find. There's a guy telling me that there was an old spur of the Orange Belt, and I don't know exactly where it is. I mean, I'm trying to get a hold of him right now because he actually found where they had left an old rail car, and there's and he said he was seeing a lot of tools and stuff laying up there, but they're all old, and it's on private property, but it is kind of neat. You never know what you're going to stumble across. I mean, it's kind of like any other state, I guess. You can, even Virginia, Craig, you've found battle lines and everything else in trenches where nobody else really knew where they were at, or never was really hunting them. You just happen to cross them.
Some people would think it was a ditch.
Yeah.
Some of them are more pronounced than others, but a lot of them got weathered over the years. I remember some down in Spotsylvania were just, God, they don't look like they'd been built, a year before.
Yeah.
They were so perfect. Some of them are, massive. And then there's others that were like, you can tell they were thrown together real quick.
Oh, yeah.
It's
I guess Robert delivers at Tractor Supply, and that's why he wanted to know. I thought he was going somewhere else with it, but what's good to know, Robert, when you get back into town and you're delivering at Tractor Supply, give me a buzz at the house here, and I'll drive over there. I'm only like 9 miles from there, and shoot, I'll meet up with you over there and BS for a while. Unless you're getting laid over in Bushnell, Florida, there's not a lot to do, so we might be able to go out metal detecting. So, yeah, we're getting bigger. We're big time. We got a Walmart, buddy. We got a Sonny's Barbecue. We got a McDonald's and a Burger King. We're big time now. So they've even expanded the road out right there. My gosh, 48 is a 4-lane road now. Oh shoot. But yeah, it's a neat little town, and it's like they just sold a property that I used to hunt right next to True Value, across Battlefield Road. And then now they've got it all ripped up. They just took out all the dirt and they put in ditches in or water retention areas and stuff. And I watched another site go bye this month. So I'm like, man, I tell you, I'm just losing sites left and right. People building and stuff, which, yeah, Robert says a truck stop. Yeah, we have a Love's truck stop too. We're big time now. They just built that this last year. So, but yeah. Right across, and just so you know, Robert, when you look across from Love's Truck Stop to the west, you're going to see a go-kart track right there. Back in the day, they were going to put horse racing in there, and they were going to build that up, and it's going to be gambling and all that stuff, and the city elders kind of shut that down big time, and that property set unchanged for at least 20 years, and then they put the go-kart track, and so we have a go-kart track too, Craig. I don't think they're for us though. We're a little too big for them now. So yeah, it's a neat little town. A lot of stuff around here. Just little things to do and stuff, but not that just try to find a restaurant that other than Sonny's or we have a Beef O'Brady's and stuff. But just I don't know. We have the country kind of diners too. We have a small Mexican restaurant, all family owned stuff. And that makes it kind of nice too. We have some Grant Lee's is a barbecue spot on 476, and I thought that was kind of neat. I went in there. It's kind of plain Jane, but it's good food, So we have a lot of little places like that around here. River Rats and stuff. I think I took Mike and Mark over to there, and it's a big restaurant, or a bigger restaurant for around here, anyways. So we do have some stuff around here to have fun with, but most of it's this country. So, Craig's the one that lives in big time in Middletown, Virginia.
I'm probably more country than you are.
Oh yeah, that's what it sounded like. You don't have. Yeah, but it's not.
We just got a Fast Mart down the street.
Oh my God, you're big time too, brother.
I can drive to Front Royal. It's about 9 miles, and there's no traffic lights until you get right to the Walmart. Maybe there's one about a mile before you get there, and then one right in front of the shopping center. And it's got Lowe's and PetSmart. I mean, it's like a huge, mega shopping center. It sprawls all over the place.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Out where I'm at, we have Nobleton is right across the river, but we have a Dollar General and a Circle K. That's about it. You go across the river.
We got Dollar General right down the street, maybe 4 blocks away.
Yep. Matter of fact, I think our Circle K, and I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, was topping beer sales for several years because it's the only place out here to buy it. And we, we're kind of redneck out here. We like our beer, so they were like one of the top selling beer places at a gas station in the middle of nowhere. So I think the closest gas station to us is like 10 miles. So. But right across the street where they're building the Dollar General, we went in there and found arrowheads and stuff, and scrapers and stuff. So, history's everywhere. I mean, I don't think we'll ever hunt out everything. There'll always be somebody after. They may not find any more Civil War stuff in an area, but World War I, World War II, all the different activities that happened from then on, you're going to find stuff from them. So, I could see where maybe 20, 30 years from now, the 1920 stuff will be real popular. I mean, we're already 100 years from, just about 100 years from that. So, from World War I. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff out here. We have old landing strips and stuff like that from World War II, fighter plane landing strips. And you don't really see them except on the maps or satellite imagery. You could see where it was. But there's a whole sordid story that goes along with that too, because everybody thought it was a cargo plane landing strip. It turned out to be a chemical weapons, even back in World War II, landing area, storage area, or something like that. That's why I read on a couple reports, military reports. So that's right outside of town. That's not very far from Bushnell. We have a lot of weird, not weird history, just different history. Over the years, different things going on and stuff like that. So, just getting into these spots, it's a major problem. Or not problem, I mean, just getting permission. That just seems like everybody has that problem, getting permissions on these properties. And A lot of time, if you just go in there and you get to know somebody a little bit better, go in there and see them, especially if they have a restaurant or a store or something like that, or if you go in there and actually talk to the people and they understand that you're not going to go in there and tear up their property or anything like that, usually they're pretty much okay with it. But you do deal with the old timers, and it's a different world. They just don't let anybody on there sometimes. I mean, you can, but I always say go back and ask again. Like 6 months from now, go back if it's important to you, because they change their mind. They've seen you once or twice. They're more apt to maybe give you permission on a site to hunt. And if they don't, walk away with a smile and everything. Or still stop by. There's places I stop by just to BS for the most part. And sometimes you'll find more spots. They'll say, hey, the neighbor down the road just bought a property, and we think there's stuff on there, and you'll get permission on it. So I was kind of trying to read down through chat here. I'm kind of can't do two things at once, as you guys know. Shoot. No, he's just okay. Never mind. Sorry, they were talking about something else. They get me confused, Craig. I know you don't even turn on the chat unless you're off the radio. So
yeah.
But yeah, we're cleaning stuff and even finding it. I see. Craig and I talked briefly about this. I just wanted to mention it. If you got somebody that's finding a lot of stuff, don't instantly think that they're planting it. That drives me crazy. And I mean, obviously, if it's obvious that it's planted stuff, that's fine. You can say something about it. But man, I tell you, we have a couple of friends that find stuff, and people get on there and just hammer them. And it's like, we know these guys. We know they're not somebody to plant stuff. You kind of like ruin your credibility doing that. And, to have them, people coming down on them. It's not us, a lot of the guys on here. But give the guy a chance. Don't beat him down until it's not a legitimate find. Because it's like, man, I've seen a couple of our friends just go through pretty much hell. People just, you know who I'm talking about, right, Craig?
Yeah, I know both of them.
Yeah, they just.
Well, it's actually more than that, but I know two guys pretty
good
well that gone through this stuff, but
it's rough. I mean, these guys were getting, just getting emails and Facebook messages and death threats and all kinds of crazy stuff. And it's like, come on, guys, it's just an artifact. It's just a relic that we found. Or whatever, these guys found, and I know these guys. I know they're not to do that. They wouldn't do that ever. But, you get this haters or this fringe. It's not everybody, but I mean, just be a little nicer. Dang. I've seen some guys get just so frustrated with getting attacked on stuff that they just don't want to metal detect anymore. That's sad. It's not.
Yeah.
Especially when they didn't do anything wrong. So, they're. I don't know. I just wanted to say that because we have another friend going through that right now. We know the guy, and he's not one to plant anything. He finds everything legitimately. And you do run across, areas. I had it happen to me about 2 years ago where I was finding button after button after button. Well, it turns out there was a house there. The house burned down in the 40s, and apparently, I was over the sewing room or wherever the wife or whoever's doing the sewing had their sewing room. So obviously the house burned. It's made of wood. Those buttons fell down into the dirt right there, and it was like a button spill. I dug so many buttons it wasn't even funny, and I was getting ones, of course, that were more of a clay and stuff like that. Of course, the metal detector wouldn't find, but by digging up the other ones, I was finding them. We had a friend that did the same thing, and he was finding jewelry. Just so happens that, the house burned down. The jewelry, obviously whatever it was in fell through the floor or whatever got burned up. Didn't get burned up. It fell through, landed in the dirt, and that's what he got on. He got into a pile of jewelry spill. And, some people were attacking him and stuff on that. I'm like, come on. You find stuff. That's what you do, so. Go ahead, Craig. Sorry.
Another guy that, found a diamond ring. And everybody, and he found it for somebody else.
Yeah.
And the woman had lost it like 25 years before or something. Mm-hmm. And he thought that was so cool. He was able to give her that ring, and she couldn't believe it. That after all those years.
Well, it gets you to the point.
The ring back.
Yeah, I mean, he did a good thing for somebody. I mean, there's finds that I'll never talk about on the radio that I've made, only because number one, there people probably wouldn't believe that I found it. I mean, I know Craig's made some finds that he doesn't talk about because they are, you know, it just leaves too much room open for people to attack you over it. Anytime you find something nice, you always seem like you have to deal with that, substantial fines. And you got to be smart about it. Don't, if you think it's going to cause you grief, don't even bother. Post it up to your friends, send for friends pictures and stuff. But, stay away from the forums and stuff. There's always, unless you're willing to deal with that part of it, it's a whole nother realm when you start finding something that's actually substantial. I see these guys that, and I don't know
my rule is I always give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just the way I am.
Well, it's
I hope that the people really, dug it, and
right. I'm happy for them,
Yeah.
Well, we've seen it happen too, Craig. Where you were just saying it. Give them the benefit of the doubt, unless you see it. We've seen coins dug that we know weren't pulled out of the ground. They threw some dirt on them, and so you see it every once in a while. It's not a big problem, but don't risk your credibility over something like that. I mean, it's not in the big scheme of things. When you go out metal detecting, you're not going to find something great every time. Most of the time we come back with, maybe a few coins if we're lucky, or maybe a button or two. I mean, every once in a while we hit a spot where, man, we're bringing it in by the bucket full. So you can't have good days every day, but you don't need to fake a find either. And this goes. We've seen it. I think there was a couple. This guy made a video, silver dollars or something like that, and things were brand new. I mean, they were shiny, and these things were supposed to be from 1800s or whatever it was, Craig, 1900s anyway. Well, and it doesn't really matter, but I mean, you could tell that they were pretty much almost close to mint. I mean, they didn't have any scratches on them. They didn't have any dirt on them. They didn't, other than what the guy threw on them. Don't try to BS us. I mean, just, you're making a video, whatever, but don't set yourself up for attack, in other words. It does get kind of crazy.
There's actually a site on Facebook about fake finds, and people, submit what they think might be fake finds that somebody had.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I like that. It's, I don't know. What does it really matter in the long run? Unless I don't know. It's cheating, but some people make too big a deal out of it. I think.
Yeah,
I mean, human nature.
Well, even the stuff you find, I like the finds that I make that I have no real idea of what it is, but I have to clean it up. I have to, investigate it a little bit, on the internet or whatever. Those are the kind of finds I like making. Yeah, and all of a sudden you find out it's something really good, and that just gets the adrenaline going all over again. And it's like finding a breastplate in the yard. Craig does it. I mean, I've never found a breastplate, but man, I tell you, when I do, you're going to probably see me jumping around like I found a gold coin, because they're getting more and more rare to find, unless you just have a good area. But Craig's had a lot. Craig's never dug a gold coin really, but he's dug, I don't know, 7 or 8 breastplates or whatever it is.
No, 17.
17, sorry, misspoke. 17 breastplates, so you could really rub it in on us now.
I think I got 20. It's either 26 or 27 plates altogether.
Mm-hmm. And I can't remember who found it, Craig. Somebody found an eagle buckle, and I saw it on Facebook, and I can't, for the life of me, I can't remember who found it. I'm sorry about that. I was going to mention it tonight. I know I can't remember what Facebook page it was. I'm all over the Facebook half the time, bouncing around in different groups and stuff. But
yeah, a lot of those are Eagle saber belt plates. The
no, is that what
wore?
Oh, okay, okay. Well, yeah, it was really nice. Though. It was really nice detail in it. It wasn't.
Yeah, I'd love to dig one.
Yeah, heck yeah.
I saw one of the Hoover boys a while back, or last year, I think, got one, and
I think it was
pretty cool.
I think
they had a
Greg
really
Pompano
good
found
video
one
this week, where they go to this field, and there was I think about 3 or 4 reals found. There was a gold coin found.
Mm-hmm.
The guy actually cut it in 4 pieces
Oh, what
with
the?
this leche,
Ah, Jesus.
and
That
I think it was 1739.
that would just kill
And
me. Oh my gosh.
yeah, but what was it? Guy got his first walk in Liberty. I think between 5 or 6 of them, they got. I think it was 6 of them hunting,
Mm-hmm.
and they got, I believe, 26 large cents between them. All kinds of flat buttons. It was unbelievable.
Jason said, he says, I still have to dig my first coin before I can try to clean it. Good luck, Jason. You'll find some coins, brother. Yeah, I think Jason was the one that was looking around for which detector he wanted to get and doing his research on that to get started. And, it's just, you'll find it. It'll be there. I mean, I laugh now, but Barbara's usually on here too, and she finally found the Indian head. She'd been looking for an Indian head for Craig, 2 or 3 years or something like that, or more. Never found an Indian head. Fanny finally finds one. But it's like Craig. You can't go by Craig because he finds reals and breastplates, and he's always done that. Bullets everywhere. And here I am. I've never dug a breastplate, never dug a gold coin. This is all on my bucket list. It just depends on what area of the country you're in and stuff. But you'll find stuff, man. It's out there to find. You'll start off with the.
Well,
probably,
it's like everybody's freaking out about my yard, and I was telling people I planned this, all
yeah, he
along.
did. He was looking for a spot.
I wanted to buy a house. I had to buy a house, and I wanted to buy, a big yard with an old house. And I was, originally going to buy one, probably around 1860 or earlier. But then I decided, after I looked at some, that they were in pretty bad shape, a lot of them. They need a lot of work. And the house I got now is 1880, but it was right on the battlefield, and so, I got lucky, that there was a lot of relics and coins and stuff in this yard, but, you never know. But I gave myself a chance. I decided, I'm going to, if there's anything around here, it's probably right there, in this neighborhood. I mean, it's a historical district. There was a blacksmith shop right across the street, 1796 cabin next door. So, probably 100 feet away is the Union Army retreated from there to Front Royal after a battle, the whole army. So there was probably stragglers and stuff that,
spread out
over on the sides. And, yeah. I mean, and then right across the street, the cabin that they built on, and my friend next door has a Bliss tool. He dug a Burnside eagle plate. He dug a bunch of buttons. Dug some bullets, and one guy found a ball button, large ball button, perfect, laying right on the ground.
Yeah. It's just there's stuff everywhere, man. I mean, you went looking for that place. I know because I'd heard it. You looked at another spot that had a house on it with 10 acres. I remember that, but you decided that was too much land. Or no, you got bought. You got beat on that one, is what it was. You put a bid on it, somebody outbid you on it, or something like that.
Well, I put a bid down the night before, and I could have bought it, but it was, it was a little bit more than I really wanted to pay.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking about cutting 10 acres of grass.
Yeah, 1 acre's bad enough, brother.
And a lot of it was real hilly. The property was pretty hilly, but it had one. It had like a spring house on it, and I also had a big creek, major creek, that they actually they put trout in it every year, and it goes all the way, it goes for like 20 miles. But there was cavalry battles between Ashby Turner and Custer all through that area too. But I was sitting there imagining that they probably could have watered their horses and stuff right at that creek.
Mm-hmm.
you know. But you know, it worked out. I like where I live right now, and that place was like in the middle of nowhere. There was
Nothing
not much
around.
around. You had to drive about 10 miles just to get to town.
Yeah.
So, I'm right between First and Second Street on Main Street, and I got 8/10 of an acre.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of crazy, but
I guess Jason's bobtailing from South Carolina to Indiana, and he's looking at all the states he goes through and everything like that, and what he can hunt. And I used to do that too. I mean, when I started metal, I just threw it in my semi with me, and I'd go out west, and I've hunted in Texas in a couple different spots. They have I think it's on I-10, the old. I don't even know if it's still there. It's an old brick, I don't know, terracotta kind of school-looking thing. Hunted there and hunted in Quartzsite, Arizona. Anytime I could get the truck stopped, or go to a truck stop, and anything out behind that or anything, if I could get in there to hunt, I'd hunt those. There's a lot of spots. I mean, you get into some really neat areas when you're driving semi-cross country, and I used to travel all 48 and up into Canada too. So you see all these spots you can't find a place to pull the truck over or whatever. It really sucks, but you do see a lot of beautiful country anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of these old towns, especially like Boston and stuff like that, you just want to jump out and say, hey, can I detect your yard? So, oh, shoot. But yeah, they...
Looking for spots driving down the road can be dangerous.
No, yeah.
These friends of mine go, quit looking for spots on the side of the road. I see you.
My wife used to tell me that on the semi. What are you looking at? And I said, I'm looking at where I can metal detect. And then she got into metal detecting, and now she's looking for every spot to gun on that.
Mm-hmm.
She's off tonight. She's sitting here with us and kind of listening in a little bit. But yeah, my mom's hounding me to go metal detecting again, so I've created monsters. It's a good problem. It's a good addiction to have. Metal detecting is addictive. It's habit forming, and it leads into so many other different hobbies. Well, a lot of the guys do that anyway. They bottle hunt, they privy hunt, they gold prospect, and they did have and I meant to put it up on the Hardcore Metal Detecting page. It was a thing about mercury. Whatever in the rivers and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
They were talking about, this lady was on there. And I can't remember the name of the prospecting store. I'll have to get that for you guys and put it up. But it was a good video, because she was explaining how, in the 1800s they used mercury to get the gold out, to get all the fine gold out of the rivers. They mix it up and it would get spilled, and it's causing problems. But she showed on there, when all these rivers got turned up, when they get a flood or whatever, it makes the water hazy almost. It breaks apart a little bit. And she was saying that the federal government came up with a process in order to be able to draw out through a dredge, their kind of dredge, it could pull the mercury out of the water and separate it into riffles almost. And what they were saying is it's okay, but it's not very effective, because regular dredging, the mercury actually flows out the side of the box, the riffles. I think that's what she was saying. And you actually get 98% of the mercury when you're dredging. You're catching that mercury, or it's flowing off the side. She was explaining it, but it doesn't saturate into the water, apparently. And they were worried, the government or whoever, the environmental agency, whoever's doing this, saying that, with their $9 million process or machine, they could separate mercury out, but they couldn't get the same percentage as just a regular gold dredge working. And that, it made sense to let people start dredging again, in other words, to get the mercury out of these rivers and stuff. Yeah, I'll have to...
They've been messing with the miners and stuff like crazy.
But it turns out that they actually, by dredging, you're actually pulling this old stuff out of the rivers and making it not, so it doesn't affect the water table or whatever. It's poisonous to people, obviously. Mm. But, my thought was, is it worth, and maybe one of you guys at Gold Prospect out there could tell me, obviously you throw mercury in with black sand, put it in a I'm gonna call it a cement mixer because I don't know what else to call it, and let it roll around in there. Pretty soon you end up with this ball of white mercury with it has gold in it, and you take that to have it processed. Don't ever try to do that yourself.
You burn it off.
Well, yeah, burn it off, but you don't want to get around the fumes. That
But
stuff
you don't
will
want
kill
to inhale
you.
it.
No. Don't inhale
Not the
it.
mercury, anyway.
No, that stuff will kill you. But they were talking about that. I thought, well, if you're getting all this mercury anyways, and it's been in the river all these years, could it have fine gold in it? Like it collected itself. Should you take that, or is it even possible to take that mercury to an oh my God, my brain's not working. Pauline, what am I thinking about? Where you take gold to have it melted down? Assayer, yeah. To have them melt that down, or to see if there is any gold in it. I don't know if that's even possible to do, or if it's even worthwhile trying to do. The gold, the flour gold, or whatever you want to call it, the real fine gold. So it'd be kind of interesting to do some more research on that to see if that's possible, because heck, you're gold dredging anyways. Yeah, you're looking for gold. If you're getting the mercury out of the ground or whatever, out of the water supply or out of the rivers, what do you do with it then? Number two, yeah, do you turn it in somewhere, Craig?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, mercury's it's in everything.
Mercury's probably fairly valuable.
Yeah, well, they were talking about barometers have it's like an ounce of mercury in them. I mean, these are like thermometers, barometers, watches, or not watches. There's like many products that we still use that actually have mercury switches in them. Even thermostats. Some of the old thermostats have a tube of mercury in them. So, this stuff is everywhere. Nowadays, even like the lead they talk about too. How we have a big lead problem in some areas. Well, we dig up so much lead metal detecting, it's not funny. A lot of times we call it fireside art or whatever. Drop bullets, and obviously they're bullets, but I mean we dig a lot of. They used to seal gutter systems.
Roof,
yeah,
all kinds of pipes are sealed with it.
Yeah, gutters were sealed. Everything.
In the Roman times, they made all their utensils and cups and stuff, and the pipes for water, and poisoned themselves.
Yeah, they didn't know
with lead.
Well, you heard of the Mad Hatter. I mean, it was mercury. The suede hats or whatever, the felt hats.
Yeah.
They called him Mad Hatter. That's why he wore those things. And that's what happened. I think it happened to President Lincoln too. Wasn't he having a problem? But he wore that big top hat.
Nuts.
Well, he said he was already nuts. but
yeah.
But no, he was taking this medicine for essentially a depression or something along those lines, and this stuff was making him crazy. And it had like I don't know how many. A huge amount of mercury in it, and it was in a documentary on PBS, and I didn't realize that had happened. It was from the medicine, or it was from the hat he was wearing, because I don't know if they changed that around as far as how they processed, how they made those hats. But yeah, the mercury is some bad stuff. We used to play with the stuff, let it roll around your hand and everything else. Of course, they don't do that anymore.
We used to put it on silver coins,
or
some kind of coin to make it real shiny.
Yep.
I remember in middle school when I was in 8th grade, some kid brought some to school. We were messing with it one time. That's the only time I ever saw it. But
it's amazing what we did when we were kids and teenagers and stuff, and we all didn't die. I mean, really.
Yeah.
I mean, we did some, by today's standards, absolutely crazy stuff. But back then, I mean, it was
like we lived in a whole different world compared to now.
Yeah, we took our bumps and bruises, but I mean, it's like, you look at Tonka trucks. They were metal, they were tough, and you figured out if you threw it at somebody and it hurt them, don't throw it no more. I mean, now they make everything out of plastic and whatever. When you ride a bicycle now, you have to wear armor to put helmets on and elbow pads.
I had a whole arsenal of toy guns.
Yeah,
I wanted to be a cowboy and shoot Indians and stuff.
Yep. I think my dad gave me my first BB gun when I was in 1st grade. I never shot anybody with it. He told me, hey, don't point it at people. Treat it like an absolutely real gun. Even when you think it's unloaded, don't point. I mean, he went through all this, so we were brought up like that. So we never even had an idea to hurt people with it. I mean, we talk about this on the show once in a while. We'd take our hunting rifles and shotguns to school. They were hanging in the back window of the pickup truck. We'd go out hunting after school and everything. We had a gun club. We had a gun range at one time in our high school, underneath the ground, like a basement gun range. We had a gun club at school, where we
we
gunsmith.
Had a club.
Yeah, I mean, we never had problems. We never, and I know it's different time.
We had a rock club where we shot, solid rockets.
Yeah. We had one of those.
Little charge in them and go up. Some would go 1,000 feet up.
I still have my dad. It's my dad's. I still have my carbide.
I think they're called Estes rockets or something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember. They had the tubes, the cardboard tubes with the charge in them that you'd set them off and then parachute
they had a little
down.
Explosion that popped the parachute out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we played with all this stuff. I mean, I found a little cannon that we're talking maybe 3 inches long, not even that long, that actually would fire. It had a place for the wick. It had, you could pack a BB or whatever the heck you wanted. It's like a little gun. That was from the 1920s. So, I mean, this stuff has been around a long time. Just all this stuff going on down here in Florida. Well, it's everywhere. These shootings and everything else. We took knives to school. We never stabbed anybody. If we had a problem with somebody, we'd just fist fight it out, and then, it was all done.
Yeah.
Now it's all this craziness going on. I don't even know what to think of it. Because, how do I, my kids are all in their 30s now, or close to it. But, like grandkids, whenever we get those, hint, 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 if my daughter's listening, and we want grandkids. So, but, how do you can't talk about the stuff you used to do because, you got to tell them you can't do that anymore. All the old stories, all the old things. We used to ride bikes without helmets and jump ramps and make forts and all this stuff just being kids. We played outside. We came home from school. We got a snack. Mom says, okay, I'll call you in for dinner. You went out and played. Neighborhood, whatever. You heard your mom yell or somebody else's mom yell. Everybody went home, ate dinner, went back outside and played until dark. And it didn't matter. We drank out of a water hose. You can't even do that anymore. You know what I mean? All the stuff we used to do and not even, and of course, we paid some prices for, like me with my hearing. I mean, I've lost some tones, obviously, over the years because we used to go to the gun range all the time. And we didn't wear hearing protection all the time because back then it wasn't something that was really, I don't know, you didn't really think about it.
Nobody really thought about it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I went skeet shooting with my dad and we decided that we were going to buy earplugs. Because we went skeet shooting for 4 hours, we'll listen to the 12 gauge go off every 2 minutes. Well, we couldn't hear out of one of our ears. So, and of course, my dad had hearing loss from Vietnam and everything. All the bullets are flying over there and bombs and everything else. A lot of the guys have hearing problems now, or have had them. But yeah, I mean, all the stuff we used to do, and we lived through it. We suffered our bruises and our bumps and our scrapes, but we did all right. We knew better. If it hurt, we didn't do it no more. So, oh shoot, I don't know how we got on that topic, but we did. Never know what path this show is going to take. But yeah, I mean, it just, how do you talk to your kids or grandkids now? I mean, they can't do anything like we used to do. It just for safety reasons, more or less anymore. This has gotten a crazy world.
It's like when. I remember we used to, work on the cars, change oil, all kinds of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
God, you can't even find that stuff. You need like special tools and all, it's a hassle nowadays to even do any of that.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about that today with airboats. I got a friend at the post there. He has an airboat with an old 351 Ford engine on it. And he's had it for years and he loves it. And he goes, I laugh at these guys that go out and, he doesn't laugh at them, but I mean, they have these airboats that are just extreme airboats. I mean, we're talking airplane engines on them and all this crazy stuff. They break down in the river, and they're stuck, and they go through fuel like crazy. I mean, here he is with a
Oh, my
351,
God.
and he's driving, airboating all over the place. He goes, and I get good fuel mileage too. He doesn't run out of fuel in the middle of the river. It doesn't have to run aircraft fuel or anything like that. Because these airboats, guys, they get to be what, Pauline, $100,000 easy $100,000 airboats. I mean, we're talking multiple seats in them, huge engines, all this chrome and everything. And he's going around in a smaller airboat, but he actually runs and has more fun and doesn't cost him a pocket full of money. So,
He can do all the tricks.
yeah, he can do all the tricks with his, but Pauline won't let me get one.
No.
You guys, thanks guys for emailing her. I think you need to do it some more. I think for Christmas I need an airboat so I can get to these remote spots along the river so I can metal detect.
On the pontoon.
Yeah, Pauline's saying on the pontoon. That's what she wants, is a pontoon boat. I think she's scared of me with an airboat. I like speed too much, so
Yeah.
I'll be hauling.
One of those like Aqua Sugar has.
Oh yeah, I'm going to be in a what is it called, Craig?
It's a jet kayak.
A jet kayak. That's what Aqua Sugar got. I'd roll over and drown my own self. I know.
You're going to be in a pretty white jacket with bows in the back.
Oh, pretty. She's going to put me in a white jacket with the bows in the back. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm still a bigger guy, so me getting in a kayak or whatever, probably not a good idea. I'll roll over and drown myself. I mean, canoe is probably about the smallest thing I'd get into. I don't have good balance on the water, so Some of these guys I see standing up on a bass boat and fishing. And Pauline's still singing the song
really?
on the pontoon. In the country video where they're all out there in the middle of the river in a pontoon boat, is they're all hitching up to it and partying. That's our style down here. And I just found out that we're running or our friends of ours are running the next Beast Feast. What is it, in July, Pauline, or August? Yeah, they have a huge, and I'll probably take some video out there. You guys will kind of like it. And Mike and Mark were out there hunting with me. They put on this big. It's just for friends. Your 200 of your closest friends come out, and we cook up everything from gator, hog, ostrich, everything, bison.
Duck,
Huh?
bison,
Oh, duck, yeah.
kangaroo.
Even. They just have this big barbecue cook-off and a lot of, some beers there, obviously, and
Just a bit.
they have a full setup in there, even a little pavilion with a big screen TV and a band there and everything. I have to get some video of it, Craig. I'd like for you to visit down here, and I'll take you over to one of those. You'd have a ball. But it's out in the middle of the woods, man. You have to travel like a mile back into the woods to get to this place. And there's like nothing out there. I think there's like 3 homes out there or something like that. That's it. But we go out there every year. People will bring their campers and camp out. And we only live about maybe 10 miles from there, so it's no big deal for us to go home. But, yeah, we have a great time out there. It's something about, down here in Florida, we cook up everything. It doesn't matter. I don't think anybody had any possum, though. Do you see possum?
No, but there was rattlesnake.
Oh, they had rattlesnake there.
Yeah, definitely had the snake. Had shark steak.
Shark steaks. So it's just just food items, but
Brings a meat.
the real cooking way, not this. You get these restaurants that have the gator nuggets and stuff, breaded gator nuggets and stuff. That's nah. You can have all that, Ostrich meat. I'm telling you guys, you got to try ostrich meat. It looks like doggone steak and it tastes like steak, just about. I was surprised. I was kind of unsure about that. I even tried they had frog legs there, but those left me kind of jumpy, Craig. I don't know. The frog legs I didn't stay away
I
from.
had frog legs when I was a kid.
Did it make you jumpy too? The kangaroo meat did. I don't know. I was hopping around all over the place. I don't know. But yeah, it's about 9:30. Guys, probably wrap it up for the night, and I might be able to get out detecting in the next day or so. You think? Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hopefully.
rain. No, she's telling me rain. Hopefully it stops so I can get out and detect some.
We're supposed to get 3 more days of rain.
I don't know. We had that. We missed the storm on Memorial Day. We had a great showing at the VFW post. We had hot dogs, hamburgers, music, the whole 9 yards there, and a lot of people came out with their families and everything. But I think a lot of them thought it was going to rain, so they didn't ride their bikes in. They their motorcycles in. They took the family. So the National Cemetery is like a mile and a half from our post, so they all came back through there. So we had a really good time on Monday. Hopefully everybody else did. It's a good turnout, good friends, good memories. So, I always tell people, go by your local VFW. If you have a family member that was in a foreign war or whatever, you can join the auxiliary, or maybe you served over in Afghanistan or whatever, in recent wars or whatever. You can join up in there. It's real nice. Good camaraderie. A lot of activities going on. A lot of good is done too. And that. I'm sorry, Pauline.
I said, everywhere you go, you're welcome in their local VFW.
Oh yeah, that's one thing Pauline was saying. You're welcome when you join a VFW. You're welcome at all VFWs around the country or around the world. Doesn't matter. They have them everywhere. So it's always, we used to go on the RV, Craig, like up by you or up in Tennessee. We went to the Nashville VFW. Welcomed us in there and sat down, talked to the commander and everything, and they had stuff going on in there all the time. So, it's kind of a fun place to hang out. You get to meet a lot of people, a lot of locals, and get to have a pretty good time. They always have an event going on, one time during the week at least. So, just wanted to put that out there. But hopefully everybody had a good Memorial Day and everything. So, we're gonna, I guess we're setting up for, what's the next one? 4th of July, right? We have something. We have the big convention, state convention coming up.
Well, I got summer.
June we have convention.
June 21st.
Hopefully we'll be doing a July weenie race.
Yeah, July we have 4th of July and everything coming up too. So, yeah, it's a pretty good time. We're going to state convention next month, and that's pretty much every VFW in the state of Florida. A lot of members from around the state will be there, and we have a few meetings and stuff, but they have the hospitality rooms, and you can hang out and meet up with people you haven't seen in a long time. So it's a lot of fun. Then you go to National, and it's crazy at National. So last year was in New Orleans. This year it's up in Missouri, right? Mm-hmm. Up in Missouri. So, yeah. At any rate, bit of information for you if you guys want to check it out. But Craig, I'm probably gonna wrap it up for tonight. We'll kick this off again on Saturday night at 8 p.m. Wait a minute, today's Saturday. Thursday night at 8 p.m. Boy, I'm way out of it, guys. Wait a minute, today's Thursday, right?
No, today's Thursday.
Oh, God, I'm losing my mind.
The last day of May.
I tell you, this rain has really warped my mind, I guess. I'm soggy in the brain. But anyway.
Yeah, it's up here, too.
I got to get out to texting. I'm losing my mind. I've got to get out there and play. So, at any rate. I guess we'll wrap it up tonight, guys. Thanks for listening. Be sure to like and follow the show. And you can check us out on the Facebook page for Hardcore Metal Detecting, and the Bliss Tool America site. Craig turned over into a Hardcore Metal Detecting also. So you guys can check out, or he titled it that and everything. We're still working on some of the other stuff yet.
Yeah, we're kind of promoting the show through there, and I show a bunch of other stuff too. So.
Yeah, be sure to check out the other shows on Spreaker.com. There's a lot of good radio shows. I mean, you got some, some other, more professional, less professional, whatever. They're all having fun. And, even metal detecting alone, I think there's 5 different shows on Spreaker at different days of the week and stuff like that. So be sure to check them out, show them the love, like and follow their shows. And I guess we'll talk to you guys on Saturday night at 8 p.m. I got it right, Craig.
Yeah.
All right. All right, guys. We'll catch you later. Get out there and keep digging. God bless.